Welcome to the Tea Mind, and for those of you that are new around here, I'm Erica, and this is the podcast where we pause, put the kettle on, and reconnect with what really matters. Each episode is your invitation to slow down and explore how something as simple as a cup of tea can become a gateway to mindfulness, mental fitness, and a more present way of living. We'll sip our way through practical tea routines, powerful insights, and heartfelt stories. Some weeks it's just you and me, and some weeks we'll hear from inspiring guests. But every week it's a chance to recalibrate, to pause, rebalance, and thrive. So grab your favourite mug, breathe deeply, and join me in the art of living with a tea mind. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of The Tea Mind. Today we are talking about gardening. Not something that comes terribly naturally to me, and I used to be the kind of person that could kill a cactus. In fact, cactuses I still don't do very well with. Honestly, if a plant came into my house, it used to be on borrowed time. Dead flowers everywhere, crispy herbs, tragic bonsai incident. I still feel guilty about that one. Not as guilty as I feel about the tea plants that I killed in Edinburgh, my Edinburgh back garden. Not great. But something has changed, I'm pleased to see. Not overnight, and not because I've suddenly developed green fingers, but in all truth, it started with a cup of tea. I had a reputation that if you gave me a bouquet of flowers, it would be dead in 2 days. And if you gave me a plant, well, may it rest in peace. People would joke, don't let Erica near that, it's still alive. Mostly my mother, I have to say. I laughed along, but deep down it did sting a little bit. And it wasn't just about the plants, it was about the part of me that couldn't seem to keep something alive, something growing. And that's the part that really stung. So I don't think I realised at the time how much noise I was living in. Constant to-do lists and half-drunk mugs of cold tea everywhere, always on a screen, always something busy with my hands, head always full and bustling. And I wasn't really noticing things properly, not outside of me and not within me. I was on that treadmill, that hamster wheel. And when you stop noticing, you stop tending, not just to plants, but also to yourself, to your inner world. And neglect doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it's just silence. But silence can be loud, especially when you realise it's the sound of something slowly withering. But one morning I took my tea outside. It was a lovely, bright, sunny morning. I had no big intention, no dramatic music was playing, just tea and a lovely patch of sunlight and the little birds singing in the sky. And I sat there with my mug warm in my hands, the steam rising, and I looked around. There was a pot that I hadn't watered, quite a few pots actually, a leaf that had unfurled overnight, and a flower that I'd never even noticed before, but today that really vibrant yellow colour had really stopped me in my tracks. Bird song, that damp, earthy smell after the morning rain, and my breath slowing down. And it was just a few minutes, but something shifted, something quiet and powerful, and I began to notice the things around me again. And in that noticing, I slowly began to care and to pay attention. I'm not saying I've become a Charlie Dimmock, that's certainly not happened, but I do manage to keep plants alive and I pay attention to them now. You're not going to find me winning any prizes at the local garden show, but here's what has changed. I now take my tea outside and I use those 3 minutes while it's brewing as a little tea routine, a daily tea routine for noticing. Noticing what needs watering, what's blooming today that wasn't there yesterday, and what birdsong is singing through the silence. And what I've realised is that this little act of attention is not just for the plants, it's for me. And I've gone from killing plants to cultivating presence, not just tending to the pots on my windowsill, but tending to myself. So I invite you this week to try what I like to call the Potter and Pause tea routine. 3 simple steps. While the kettle boils, take 3 slow, deep breaths and stand by the door or window and look outside, even if it's grey, especially if it's grey. You also get the added bonus of having all that bright natural daylight in the morning, which helps with your sleep. Second step is, as your tea brews, step into your garden or onto your balcony. Even if it's tiny, even if it's just a windowsill with one tiny little plant, just notice one thing. A colour, a scent, a shape. Don't analyse, just observe. And third step is sip your tea. And as you do so, hold in your mug, feel the warmth, and asking yourself, what in me needs watering today? And this simple practice has helped me rewire my mornings. Less rushing and more roots. I used to think mindfulness meant sitting cross-legged in silence for a full 20 minutes. And there's definitely a time and place for that. But it turns out mindfulness can also be as simple as pausing with a cuppa and whispering thank you to a lonely geranium. So here's what I've learnt from my cultivating presence. It was never actually about the gardening. It was more about the noticing, the tending, and the quiet act of paying attention to something beyond my to-do list. When we start to notice life in details, however small, we remember that we're part of it. And when we slow down to care for something fragile, we soften ourselves too. And that's how things begin to bloom, not just outside our windows, but in ourselves as well. So I'm curious this week, what is one thing that you could do to make yourself feel more human today? What could you do that needs tending in your life? Maybe it's looking after your dog, or writing one sentence in your journal, or walking the same path that you walk every day and just noticing something small that's changed. What would happen if you turned that into a tea routine? What would grow if you just paid a little bit more attention? So my little tea routine prompt for this week is, what in your life needs watering right now? And just let that question steep for a little bit and let it guide your next gentle action. What in your life needs watering right now? Perhaps it's your creativity, maybe your friendships, maybe it's you. Just notice what comes up for you. So I hope you give this Potter and Paws tea routine a go this week, and do let me know how you get on. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks for sharing this cup of calm with me. As you move through your day, take the tea mind with you. Pause when you can, breathe, and be kind to yourself. And please follow the Tea Mind to get new episodes as they land on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, or wherever you get your podcasts. Until next time, stay present, sip slowly, and thanks for listening.